So the question is, what kind of cleanse am I on? I mentioned the other day that I've been losing some weight, that I'm on a cleanse, that I've been going to see somebody. I even mentioned that I'm bleaching my food again. I did a video on bleaching food last year. I didn't stay too diligent on it, and this year I'm really diligent on making sure that my food gets properly sanitized. I'm going to do a video with the lady who taught me about that. Hopefully I'm on my way there. I'm on my way there now. Hopefully she'll have time to do a video on that today. So, what kind of cleanse am I on? Most of you know that I've preferred a vegetarian diet over the last 18 years. That I preferred to eat vegetarian. However, I do own a restaurant that does serve grass-fed meat, local pork, eggs. We barely serve any eggs. I don't like eggs at all, so we only use eggs for brunch. But we don't use really cream or butter in anything. We try to keep as many things vegan as possible or plant-based as possible because the vegan word scares people. I don't know why. So we try to keep like our sweet potato curry soup. A lot of our desserts are all plant-based. Our soups are all plant-based. You're not going to find cream or beef stock or chicken stock, any of those. So I prefer to eat vegetarian/vegan. I do enjoy some cheeses. There's some cheeses that I really do enjoy, although I know that cheese is a very highly inflammatory and very highly acidic food. And if I'm diligent, I can abstain from those and really stick to a vegan diet. Sometimes I'll eat seafood, not often. Sometimes I'll crave tuna or salmon, but that's not often. So this year, about 20 days in, maybe 18, 19 days in, to this cleanse that I'm doing. And I went to go see a lady who I saw 15, 16 years ago. And she is a colon therapist. She does colonics. She is very, very versed on nutrition, extremely versed on nutrition. I really respect a lot of her opinions or a lot of her experience on nutrition. She herself is eating plant-based, a lot of fruits. So she avoids grain. When I met her years ago, I believe she was still eating chicken. I'm gonna have to ask her today. By the way, my restaurant is the only restaurant that she goes out to eat, that she trusts, and she tells her clients that if they want to go out and eat and trust somebody, that they need to come to me. Now, she's been doing colonics, colon therapy, 30 years. So she's been in the business a long, long time. I believe she was part of the ashram up here in the Catskills. And very, very intelligent woman. So I'm seeing her. I'm going in for my third colonic right now. But she has me on, so when I went there, I was extremely bloated. As you can see in a lot of my past pictures recently, I was very, very bloated. Of course, I'm overweight, but the bloating on top of it was not helping. I was experiencing, being a chef, being an owner of a restaurant, it's very high stress, and I would eat on emotions. And of course, there's food around the whole restaurant. There's food around through my house. There's snack food everywhere. It might not be per se bad snack food like Snickers, but it might be like an organic chocolate, organic popcorn, so organic veggie sticks of some sort. So yeah, I would just snack. I would just graze all day thinking, man, I'm just eating this organic food, knowing that, hey, it's not really the best thing for me, but hey, it's just one little tiny piece. So I would just sit there and graze, walk into my office, graze. There's organic case of organic popcorn there. So you open up a bag and you share it amongst people, or you open it up and you eat the bag between two seatings. So I've stopped grazing on food, but I was to a point where when I was eating food or sitting down for a meal or trying to sit down, because I eat on the run. That's a mistake. Do not eat on the run. You have to sit down and relax and be conscious. And I was taught years ago, you put a bite in, you put your fork down, you chew your food slowly, and then you pick your fork back up only when you're done with what's in your mouth, not just keep shoveling it in. A lot of us just shovel. And I was guilty of that, totally guilty of that, even though I knew better. So I was to a point where I was having bad acid reflux, and it really wasn't the type of foods. It was the type of foods, but it wasn't 100% the type of foods I was eating. It was just, I was very stressed out. I thought I had an ulcer. I was like, man, I must have an ulcer. I put food in my mouth, and I'm like hitting my chest, and the acid's coming up bad, and I'm like, oh man, I'm in so much pain. I'd have to like excuse myself from situations to be like, almost like do the Heimlich on myself, self-inflicted Heimlich, to be like, oh my gosh, I just got to get this food down or up. and it really got bad. And this happened a year ago too, and I went for only one colonic, and I didn't do the diet diligently. I didn't follow it, so I got better. But all of a sudden, then I just, got into a point where I was just back to my old ways again. So, with that being said, let's see what else I can add to this, because I just had something on my mind that I wanted to add to this. So I had the acid reflux, I had the bloating. Oh, I was snoring terribly and developing sleep apnea. I've always been a light snorer here and there. 3 years ago when I went on the high-carb diet, yes, the high-carb diet, lost all that weight, my snoring basically went away. My wife said, "You don't have any more snoring, it's great." So my wife snores a little bit too sometimes, depending on the position she's laying in. So I was now snoring in every position I was laying in, and my wife was like, "I've got to put earphones in." When we were in Italy in November, of course, eating all kinds of food, she was like, "I have to put earphones in. I cannot sleep with you in bed. But I want to sleep with you in bed, but it's impossible anymore." So she put earphones in. First time ever for that. And so when I got back from Italy, I was just like, and hopefully I'll be able to throw a picture up here. I put it up the other day of me out on the trails hiking, and I took a selfie, and you can see everything in here is just bloated and like that on me. So 2.5 weeks later, almost 3 weeks later, I've had zero instances of sleep apnea. Zero. I have had no more acid reflux. I've had no more, and I'll explain to you what I'm eating. I've had no more chest pains like that. I have had my snoring, my wife said, has gone down by at least 50%, and that happened within the first 2, 3, 4 days. My very first colonic, you could see my stomach, the bloating didn't go down all the way, but you could see a reduction in bloating just with the very first colonic. And I was like amazed. Now when I get up in the morning, I'm like, wow, my food, my stomach, I can just see that everything's much, much flatter. I have much more energy. I jumped out of bed at 5:30 this morning. I didn't get home until 11 o'clock last night. Jumped out of bed at 5:30 and just ready to rock and roll and go. So now here's the food regime that I'm doing. I incorporated a green juice every morning. So cucumber, apple, lemon. I'm going to start putting some ginger in there, and I'm going to start mixing it up with some kale. And some great local organic kale, so I'm going to start incorporating that in too. As a result of me juicing every morning, now my whole family is doing a green juice every morning. That specific juice. My son is drinking a pint of it every morning. My wife is drinking a pint of it every morning. I'm buying 3 cases of pineapples at a time. I'm not eating the pineapples, but I'm juicing them for my smoothies. So I'm making 3 to 4 smoothies a day, only 1.5 cups of liquid, and I'm used to putting in 4 cups of liquid. So she wanted to shrink my stomach. She said my stomach was just used to just piling food in. So now we're gonna have to sort of restrict the food, the volume of food that I'm eating, and sort of get my stomach retrained, my digestion retrained. So I'm taking enzymes. I'm taking the Udo's enzymes. I'm taking the Udo's oil. And I know there are a lot of high carbers out there like no oil, no oil, no oil. And if you read Udo's book and if you follow him, he's in the oil business, but he suggests a very, very small amount of his oil a day in reality, because he understands that we're just not supposed to be pumping oil into our body. But he's concerned with the amount, the ratios of the 369 oil that's going into our body that's totally out of whack, because people are eating so much canola and soybean oil and all these other oils, crab oils, cottonseed oil, corn oil, that's just loaded with the wrong omegas, and we're way out of whack, and we're eating grain-fed beef that the omegas are just way out of whack. So, by the way, just information, grass-fed beef versus grain-fed beef has like 4 times the omega-3s in it, heart-healthy fatty acids. So if you do eat beef and you're thinking about switching from grain-fed to grass-fed, it is a big difference in nutritional value, nutritional profiles. So, sleep apnea gone, the snoring is reduced by 50%. I've lost 11 pounds since I've been going to it. I probably lost 20 pounds total. I do want to get back to 185, 190, which I think is a great weight for me. I can run my ass off at that. When I weighed 185 a couple years ago, I ran 8 ultra marathons that year One of them was a 52 miler. It was a double marathon, 51 and change, a double marathon I ran. And I was able to really, really do some good speed work back then. I had one of my fastest miles back then. At the age of like 42 years old, I was clipping like a 5:30 mile. I did a 2-mile run in Kingston, New York for the Shamrock. And I was like in the top like 10% of like 1,000 people that ran that. And I was hauling, and I think my time was under 11 minutes for 2 miles. 42 years old. I've never ran that fast in my life. Not even as a kid did I run that fast. So it's never too late to start running and being active, folks. There's people, that oldest marathon runner who's 100 years old, he didn't start running until he was 89 years old. His wife passed away. He's an Indian guy from London, from England, and he didn't start running until he was 89 years old. His wife passed away. He was bored, and now he'll run marathons in 8 hours. That's much longer than the average person. But folks, a marathon's a marathon, a mile's a mile. Who cares about people? Who cares when you say, I'm slow, I don't want to run because I'm slow? A mile's a mile no matter how you run it. It's still a mile. It's still the distance. So don't get stuck up on your times. Get out there and do the distance. So back to my nutrition. The pineapples are only for juicing. Put it in my smoothie. I do a rice protein. She has been a rice protein because she claims that of all the proteins out there, the protein formulas, the rice protein is the easiest on digestion. Pea would probably be the second, she said. But out of all the other proteins, it's the easiest on your digestion. So, that is making a difference. She also said, my enzymes are shot because just, over the time of aging, you need to up your enzyme level. So now I'm taking enzymes left and right, the Udo's enzymes. So as a recap of all that, I feel so much better. The weight's coming off. I'm doing a lot of juices. When I do a meal, or when I sit down for food, she's like, Marcus, you can sit down for food, but I only want you eating 5 bites at a time and savor those 5 bites. Put them in your mouth. Same thing with the smoothie. Put it in your mouth and swish it around and activate your saliva. Activate your own enzymes. Activate that in your mouth. So eat slowly, nice and slow, and when you eat food, I'm allowed to eat hummus. Of course, I can eat stuff like potatoes and fruit. She goes, fruit, man. You want to eat fruit? Eat fruit. Eat mandarins. Bananas, she claims to eat in the morning, earlier towards the morning. But apples, pears, berries, I can have more than 5 bites of those. She goes, eat up on those fruits. Fruit is your friend. And I've always said that fruit is your friend. So don't worry about the sugar in fruit. That's a whole nother video topic that I've done many videos on that before. Fruit doesn't metabolize the same as a spoonful of sugar because fruit has enzymes active in it, and it has it has the fiber, so it all metabolizes differently than a spoonful of sugar. So sugar is not sugar. So that's really a rundown of the cleanse that I'm doing. I am going to do a gallbladder and a liver flush purge cleanse. I've done it before years ago. It's with Epsom salt, grapefruit juice at night, olive oil. You drink that, you lay on your side, you go to bed, you drink Epsom salt, I think, before you go to bed. And then in the morning, you drink Epsom salt again, and you basically are confined to the bathroom for an hour or so. Your body's passing a bunch of things. So supposedly they're gallstones that you're passing. They look like tiny little peas. 16 years ago, I passed a couple hundred of those, several hundred of those. So let's see, I'm really excited. So I'm going there now. I'm almost there. And I'm really excited because I'm waiting for her to tell me that I can do the gallbladder purge, the gallbladder flush. I'm waiting for her to tell me. She's going to hopefully say your body's ready based upon what I'm excreting still out of my body, what's coming out of my bowels. By the way, if you have asthma, in Dr. Majad Ali's book, one of his books is an Indian doctor from New York City, he claims that asthma can be improved significantly or reversed. I reversed my asthma, by the way, folks. Reversed it 18 years ago. He claims you can reverse it through bowel cleansing, sort of like colonics. Bowel cleansing, colonics would be the one step for that. The toxicity in your bowel can trigger asthma attacks. My wife went for colonics 6 years ago. Same lady. and she was able to kick her asthma back then too, and she had asthma worse than I did. I had it pretty bad as a kid. At 28 years old, I kicked it, and she was able to kick her asthma altogether. And maybe we'll do another video on that. I have several videos on how I reverse my asthma and some tips on that. So that's everything in a nutshell. Hopefully I'll be getting some good news about that liver and gallbladder purge that I can start doing. And of course, everything that I'm doing, folks, I wouldn't recommend, I guess I can't recommend any of this for anybody. You have to do the research yourself. As a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional, I'm not a licensed practitioner. I'm just telling you what has worked for me, and if it works for you, that's great. Do your own research, make your own decisions, and happy eats.